Gosh, had to be a top 10 moment in franchise history for them. Very happy them hadn't won a game in 106 days. We'll talk to Rick Bucher about that. The new look Nets looked awesome, and the entire NBA, the whole fans, media, players, coaches, everyone is better off with a healthy Kevin Durant in the league. And Kevin Durant sure as hell looked healthy last night. We'll talk to Rick Bucher about that as well. But here's the deal. On Tuesdays, Colin Cowherd on this show releases, as everyone knows, the herd hierarchy. And I understand it. I get it. Colin's been doing this for years and years and years. It's branded. I assume it's a multi-million-dollar sponsorship associated with it. The problem with it is it's bad rankings. It's just bad rankings. It's traditional power rankings, 1 through 10. It's a little fickle. He wildly overrates certain teams, wildly underrates others. And there is a superior way of ranking teams and a way you can get all 32 fan bases involved. It's the Nick Wright tiers, and we do that on First Things First, which, by the way, you can watch from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern every day, if you didn't know it. And we release those on Wednesdays as counter-programming to Colin's herd hierarchy to just try to kind of even out the balance of knowledge in the football world. And now that I'm sitting in for Colin, I will release them to you guys as well. Show the full tiers. The very bottom. By the way, the Jets had been at the bottom all year. There was at one point on these tiers where the Jets weren't even on there. They were off the bracket entirely. It's just Adam Gase poking his head up from the corner. Now the Jets, because of the win, maybe the worst moment in franchise history, that win, they move up. So the bottom all by themselves, Trevor Lawrence, the Trevor Lawrence tier. The next tier is the Justin Fields tier. Now the Bengals won't draft Justin Fields, but every other team that is in the running to potentially do it would at least consider it on that tier. The next tier is a bunch of fan bases that are just like, hey, is it NFL season? Is it NBA season yet? Now with the Texans, I don't know if people are that excited for the Houston Rockets. Detroit, they're like, hey, trying that whole center lineup with the Pistons. Let's see how that works. Patriot fans haven't been this excited for a Celtics season compared to a Patriot season since Larry Bird was playing. Bay Area fans, season didn't start so great, but at least you're going to have Steph back this week. Denver, listen, the Broncos might stink once again. The Nuggets are awesome. Dallas Cowboys fans, I know your football season didn't go the way you wanted it to, but you got Luka. And Charger fans, if such a thing exists, you got the Lakers and the Clippers is like the other team there. So all those fan bases, their football seasons have betrayed them. They're just focused on the NBA season. One game short tier. All these teams at the end of the year are going to say, damn it, if this game had just gone differently. The Dolphins are going to say, if somehow we could have just held that lead against Kansas City. Giant fans are going to have plenty of, we were so close. We had the game. What if we didn't let Carson Wentz come back on us? Raider fans, how long of a list? Obviously, they pulled one out of the fire against the Jets, but that's the only game they've won the last month, it feels like. Bears and Vikings are going to finish a game short. And the Eagles, to add insult to what's been a tough season, they're not even going to finish a game short. They're going to finish a half game short. It's going to be because they went for that tie instead of going for the win. Now we can zoom in. What's left are your 14 playoff teams. And I'll explain the top of this in a moment. Wild card weekend tier, all of these teams, all 4 of them, I would be shocked if they win a game in the postseason. The Steelers are falling apart. The Colts have been too hot and cold throughout the year, and you can trust Phillip Rivers in the playoffs if you want to. I won't. The Bucs are fool's gold right now. The Bucs, we know exactly who they are. They are a team that if you do not have a pass rush, they will look awesome. If you do have a pass rush, they will melt. And Washington has an excellent defense. They're going to win their division, but they're not going to be able to beat anyone in the postseason unless, of course, they were to play the Bucs, in which case I think they would win that game because they have a great pass rush. But unless these teams match up against each other, their season ends wild card weekend. Now it gets more interesting. Cardinals, Bills, Ravens. 3 teams, any of which could make the conference championship games if their quarterback plays accordingly. They will go as far as their quarterback will take them. And we're going to talk more about the Bills later because I know Colin has them as the #1 team. But what Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson all have in common is they have as many quality career playoff starts as me and Joy Taylor. 0. Now, Kyler's never had a playoff start, so can't hold it against him. Josh Allen is 0 for 1, and Lamar is 0 for 2. But those teams are so quarterback-centric that if they're going to be one and done or make a deep run in the postseason, it is entirely about how good their quarterback plays. Shadow contenders. Those are teams, let me try to think of a historical example. I would think the 2012 Ravens are a good example. Teams that were good but not great in the regular season, but because either their coach or their quarterback, in the Ravens' case, I don't think it was because of the quarterback, the coach and the overall roster, you're like, if they get hot. And so I put the Seahawks, Rams, and Browns all there. The Seahawks, you can say they're also as far as their quarterback takes them, but Pete Carroll is good enough, and the defense has shown flashes as of late. I think they can win a game where Russell doesn't play great. Hell, this past week they showed you they can compete at a high level even if Russell doesn't play great. He threw for, I think, 121 yards this weekend. The Rams, if they were just based on how far their quarterback takes them, they'd be screwed because Jared Goff and his tiny hands and his turnovers aren't going to take you many places. But the rest of the team is so good, and Sean McVay is so good. It's still remarkable to me that the guy's never lost a single game where he led at halftime, that you feel like the Rams, if Goff can avoid killing them, they absolutely could find themselves a championship weekend or further. And the Browns are really interesting. Baker has 1 turnover since Halloween. His numbers all of a sudden this year look pretty good, and that's despite playing 3 consecutive games earlier this year in just horrific conditions. The running game is excellent. The defense isn't quite as good as the numbers suggest because the defense benefited from those bad conditions. But they do have Myles Garrett, who's as good as any defensive player in the league almost. And with the way they're playing, especially, keep this in mind with Cleveland. They might end up winning that division. If the Steelers lose this weekend to the Colts and they're underdogs at home, then Week 17, Pittsburgh-Cleveland, is for the division because Cleveland's going to beat the Jets this weekend. So if the Steelers lose this weekend, then Week 17, Pittsburgh-Cleveland is for the AFC North. Now we get to the best of the best. Championship weekend at least. All 3 of these teams, if they do not at least make the conference championship, they will be and should be disappointed. Tennessee was there last year, and why do I have Tennessee above Cleveland even though Cleveland beat them? Glad you asked, pardon me. It's because Tennessee essentially is the Browns, just a better version of the Browns. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Ryan Tannehill is as good of a play-action quarterback as anybody in football. That's what Baker excels at. Tannehill for a year and a half has been just great at it. The Browns are a very good running team. The Titans have the best running back maybe since Adrian Peterson. What Derrick Henry might have 2,000 yards this year. What does he need, 320 in the final 2 weeks? That's absolutely in play. And the Titans were in the championship game last year. Obviously, the Saints and the Packers, top 2 seeds in the NFC. The Packers were in the conference championship last year. The Saints have had playoff heartbreak after playoff heartbreak. They put all their salary cap eggs in this year's basket. They don't know how much longer they have with Drew Brees. They are all in on this season. And then, okay, is that a misprint? What? Why are the #1 contenders the Chiefs if the champs are the Chiefs? Because here's the anticlimactic part about this season and why it's so outrageous that our guy Colin Cowherd has the Bills as the #1 team in the league. The only team who can beat the Chiefs is the Chiefs. That's the reality. If you're going to beat the Chiefs, it's going to be because they beat themselves. There is not a team that is going to be able to match up head-to-head against them. And I think that's evidenced by, if you just look at, and I'm going to pull up the numbers right now, if you just look at final scores, it looks like the Chiefs are vulnerable. Oh, they only beat this team by 3 points. They only beat this team by 4 points. If you look at it a different way, which is, when's the last time in the game the Chiefs' opponent had the ball with a chance to take the lead, then you actually get a better idea of how dominant they've been. So, for example, that Saints game that they only won by 3 points. The last time the Saints had the ball with a chance to take the lead was midway through the third quarter. The Dolphins game, which again, the Chiefs won by 1 score. The last time the Dolphins had the ball with a chance to take the lead was the second quarter. The Bucs game, which the Chiefs won by 3 points. The last time the Bucs had the ball with a chance to take the lead was the first quarter. The Ravens game, the last time they had the ball with a chance to take the lead in Baltimore was the second quarter. So while the Chiefs aren't blowing people out the way overwhelming favorites typically do, they're also never in jeopardy. And so now let's circle back, out of respect to Colin, to the Bills. Because Bills Mafia is mad at me. Don't Google my name right now. There's a lot of not safe for work memes. And my Wikipedia page has been vandalized. Bills Mafia, so mad at me. Nick, do you watch Josh Allen? Nick, why don't you put some respect on Josh Allen's name? Are you ready to admit you're wrong about Josh Allen? I do watch him. Why don't I put respect on his name? I'm about to explain it to you. Am I ready to admit I'm wrong about him? Absolutely not. Josh Allen this year is an EKG chart.